So when you think back over those really horrible subjects, which I know most students really don't like, such as animal and plant biochemistry, genes and inheritance, perhaps even microbiology, do you find times when you're in your job when those sorts of things surprisingly become important or relevant?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, in my role, because I'm working in extension, so I go out and visit growers, and they'll be talking about chemicals and whatnot, and they'll be saying, mode of action, so and so, or I'm like, oh, I know how that works. Like, I know the time of year you should be spraying that, or how the chemical works biochemically.
Sure.
So it's actually surprised myself a lot.
Well, that is very good to hear, because we always are hoping that that fundamental science actually has a relevance and an application.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's definitely helping.
That's great. If you could say one thing that would inspire these new students to biochemistry, to pay attention and understand why biochemistry is going to be important to them, what would it be?
Okay, well, I'll probably give two examples. When you think about agriculture and viticulture, you need sunlight to create photosynthesis, which is pretty pivotal when you really think about it. We need sugars for grapes, so basically that process goes on in the leaves, and then it sends it and pumps up the grapes with sugar. Same for agriculture, that's just going to grow them, give them the sugar they need, corn, carrots, everything. And then from there, for all the winemakers who want to be winemakers, that goes into the fruit goes to the winery, and then alcoholic fermentation occurs, which is also biochemistry. And then in the end, once we've got our wine, we can all have a drink at the end of the day and survive uni with a moderate amount of alcohol.
So, brilliant. So I think what you're saying is that biochemistry becomes really central to many of the subjects that you're going to do post second year.
Definitely. I mean, we've got distant thought, which was my favourite subject. That's literally everything. It's distillation and fortification. There's a lot of biochemistry involved in that, and Dave will scare you a little bit, but it's worth it. It's really fun.
So come into those sort of courses after the more gentle introduction that you get from biochemistry.
Correct.
Beautiful. Were there any other courses that really challenged you at the time which have turned out to be useful in terms of integrating knowledge?
Biochemistry, probably. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a tough course, but it got you into that chemical mind frame. I'm not using it so much in my degree, but I know that in the winemaking side, it is very helpful. It is really helpful in just knowing what kind of chemical reactions are occurring at that time.
Yep.
And having biochemistry, especially taught at Wait and given a bit more of a wine background, so you do learn it with those kind of examples, really instills that and the importance of it, and you do see that when you enter the industry.
Sure. So I guess what you're saying there is although they're tough, as long as there are relevant examples, then it does at least put it into some sort of context.
Exactly, yes. Stab and clary, also quite hard, but that is, from the get-go, that's very useful, and it is something you need to know for winemaking in particular.
Yeah, absolutely.
The second year subjects, while they weren't so excellent at the time, genes and inheritance and animal and plant biochemistry, they ended up, the knowledge that I learnt in those subjects ended up being completely instrumental to the plant breeding and plant biotech courses.
Really.
Completely, really important.
Right. And Heather, I'm gathering you agree with James on those ones, yeah?
Yeah, I do agree. Even though I went into a different pathway,
Yep.
there was still invaluable subjects to take for even just a general knowledge, going to a research field, even though mine isn't biochemistry based, it's still very important background knowledge to have.
In second year, you do a course called Plant Science. So basically in plant science you talk obviously about all the different systems and different metabolism that the plant goes through. So in plant biochemistry what you do is obviously take like a metabolism process like photosynthesis and you break it down to the more base level of how you obviously get the energy, which is obviously you get, you convert the light energy into a sugar, which is then used in a lot of different other processes in the plant. Yes, in genes and inheritance, because it's all broken down, in biochemistry you do a bit of how DNA is structured and everything like that, and you need that in your genes and inheritance because you learn things like PCR and how to identify different genes that are like in the DNA or qPCR. Yeah, because biochemistry is the basis of everything. Like you kind of need it to understand a process. Like you can obviously say photosynthesis is carbon dioxide and water converts it into glucose. But you want to know what happens obviously to the energy that you need in the between, which obviously there's so many different more cycles in the plant which you need to understand, and you can even understand it yourself.